Hello and welcome to the Anyone Can Play Guitar podcast,
which gives you, the listener, a series of hints and pointers on your journey as a musical artist.
providing you with interviews from those in the music industry, along with our own experiences.
Ben and James shine some light on the many pitfalls and opportunities that being a musician has to offer.
Last week, Ben was at the Cluny in Newcastle speaking to the band Shopping about band ethos and decision making, self-releasing versus label, and control over image. This week we're both back at the Cluny with the bolt of energy that is Paul Langley, talking tour management, the importance of that role, what it involves, and who can do it.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 with me, Ben, and him,
James.
James, ever heard of the song Connected by Stereo MCs? Gonna get myself connected.
Yes.
That song was written about our guest today, Paul Langley. I'm sure of it.
He does know a lot of people.
He knows a lot of people, and like a lot of people who like everyone knows, like Gallagher's, all the Manchester scene, Hacienda, all that sort of stuff.
One of the faces.
Yeah, he wasn't one of the faces, Jesus. But if he was,
I bet he knows them.
Oh, he definitely does know the faces. Whether they were the small faces or not, beyond me. But for anyone who likes to keep track of these things,
How did we first find or meet Paul?
I spoke to him via email when we were setting up the meeting with Paul Radcliffe, and then
Paul Radcliffe?
No, Mark Radcliffe. Who's Paul Radcliffe?
I don't know. Never heard of him.
I'm going to check myself on that one. No idea who. Maybe something to Paula Radcliffe? I don't know.
We've not had her on. I don't know why we would have a distance runner on.
Maybe she knows Chariots of Fire or something because she's Olympian. Maybe, I don't know.
He knows Chariots of Fire. Is that a person?
Just I know this song. No, sorry, yes. I spoke to him via email when we were setting up the meeting with Mark Radcliffe.
Good.
And then we met him backstage at the Sage before we met Mark and just had a bit of chat on with him.
Well, instantly when you meet Paul Langley, there is a burst of energy.
Burst of energy, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, what a guy, but he just brings energy to
he lifts
the
it
room.
Up.
Oh,
he does, and he just.
Absolutely.
And yes, so we met him there, and I just kind of kept in touch with him because he was really interested about the podcast, what we were doing.
And you can tell he just loves music as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just loves it.
And I thought, you know what, Paul would be. I was thinking, what am I doing here, Paul? Let's get you on the show because
Definitely.
You know a lot of stuff and a lot of people. And a lot of stories about what is what, and he's tour manager, photographer.
Well, instantly we just thought, right, a tour manager, that would be a really good angle for an episode.
Yes.
Of which, part one...
double header.
...is absolutely all about that.
Yeah.
But here we've got a double header, which isn't sort of a continuation
extension,
necessarily. Part one's about Paul as a tour manager. Part two, Paul the photographer.
Yeah, exactly.
Both very relevant to musicians.
Why do you need either? What were you going to use them for?
So what will people get out of today's part one, Ben?
What is a tour manager and what do they do?
Yeah, because...
It's different to a band manager. But why is it different?
Yeah, I guess...
Why do you need
to
one?
people who've not been on a tour and had a tour manager, probably be a bit of a mystery.
Yeah.
So, I guess we won't... spoil the
It's just a lot of stuff that
sure.
I probably could have guessed my way around these things if people had questions about them, but I would never have got the depth of knowledge that Paul's got, the experience that Paul's got, and the energy that he brought to the podcast.
Definitely not.
And we met him again at the Cluny. This time was Cluny 2 when he was tour managing Fine Lines.
Yes.
Who he knows, and Mark Radcliffe plays drums. Not Paul Radcliffe, Mark Radcliffe.
Definitely
plays drums
Mark.
on their record and tours with them every now and again. So, we'll go backstage to the Cluny 2 this time, and we'll talk to Paul Langley. Well, welcome to the podcast, Paul
Hi.
Langley.
Hi, you okay?
Yep, how are you on this Saturday in Cluny 2?
It's raining, I'm in Newcastle, I'm 250 miles away from home, I'm excellent.
Where better a place to be?
Exactly, up in the tune.
Yeah, so we've just watched Fine Lines,
Yeah,
band that you look after.
I do, yes.
It's a good set. I didn't realise the lead singer was from up here.
He is, he's from
Morpeth.
Yeah, Morpeth. He's a guitar tutor, Dave.
All right.
So he really is annoyingly brilliant. Mark Radcliffe and Woody, they know him quite well, and they they do bits of shizzle with him. You sort of help him out and whatnot on some tricky stuff. But yeah, he's a good lad, David.
Cool. Yeah. So you've just mentioned Mark there, Mark Radcliffe, who was episode 2, and that's how we met.
Absolutely,
yourself.
yeah.
And when we got talking, and we thought, well, this would be an excellent episode, wouldn't it? When we got chatting a bit more, I realised that you are connected to everyone in the music industry, more there or thereabouts. But what we'll do is we'll just focus on,
unfortunately, yes,
2 things really.
Yeah.
Tour management and photography, because that's your big thing as well. So why don't, before we get started, you just give us a bit about yourself of where you fit in the music industry.
Okay. Well, I started life as a small child with aspirations of getting into the industry through watching bands, and some of my friends who were in bands like the Inspiral Carpets, based in North Manchester, they sort of give me the impetus to sort of get into the music industry. So I was in bands and this, that, and the other, and we managed to get a one single deal. On our own label, was sponsored by. We got an Arndale Centre in Middleton in Manchester to go and sponsor enough money to make a record, and that was really how I really got a passion for it. And then I realised that I was crap at making music, but I could make dance music. So my brother Bobby Langley, who was the resident DJ at the Hacienda and Sankey Soap and this, that, and the other, he went on to remix and to make dance music. He was all the samples, and I used to be the tech guy behind it. So when I was making it, we sort of got on, and through one thing and another, we got a record deal with Factory Records, the dance music side of it, Rob's Records, Rob Gretton, who was a manager at New Order, and from that we interconnected. So we worked with Jimmy Goodwin from the Doves, and we worked with, or sub as it were, we worked with Bernard Sumner on the electronic things. And so we got connected with basically having a minor deal. We never got a deal at Factory, but you just put records out if they liked you. And God rest their souls, Tony Wilson and Rob Gretton sort of had the faith, put us in front in a recording studio with Simon Crompton, who's the MIDI tech for Depeche Mode, who's a great friend of ours. Jimmy Goodwin helped us out. Badly Drawn Boy was there or thereabouts, and Yargo and all the sort of early Manchester bands who now have become sort of luminaries. Like Jimmy Goodwin has gone on to do his own stuff, and hopefully Doves are going to be resurfacing the back end of this year. Fingers crossed. So basically, I just got into that, and we got a deal through Sony, BMG, and a deal through Yeti Records in Belgium, who were making techno music, effectively. Think Orbital, but with a Manchester slant on it. Right. So we did that for a few years, and then I realised that I was, it was okay, but I was getting bored. And then I picked up a camera because my dad was a bit of a snapper. And then the people who I knew, I just thought, right, I'll take a picture of it, and they really liked it. Apparently, I've got the eye, which I don't think I have. I've got 4 of them, so I can't go wrong there. So I kind of did that, and then luckily, I sent the pictures off to an agency. They picked me up. They don't really take anybody on, but they were quite impressed with what I did. And then therein lies the history of me.
Oh, cool.
It's quite a romanticised period, the whole Hacienda Factory Records bit. That does it. I mean, things like 24-hour Party People and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
How reflective of
the first half of the 24-hour Party People? If you watch the film, the first half is really interesting, and the second half is basically it's a parody. Coogan plays Wilson very, 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 very well. In the first half, and then it goes a bit, to me, my opinion, is a bit Alan Partridge as it goes further into the film.
Right.
However, the first half is really, historically, it's very accurate. Right. When we went to the film of that, because there's a brilliant scene in it where the Happy Mondays are being interviewed on the bus, and they got a bus from Manchester over to Sheffield, and they did the trip 3 or 4 times. And they were doing whatever on the coach. And my friend Luke Bainbridge, who's a great journalist based in London for the Observer Music magazine, he was interviewing Sean Ryder in inverted commas, and And they said, right, so we need to get drunk, you know. And I said, well, we can't be filming. No, we need to get drunk. And actual Sean Ryder was on the bus going, you need to get effing drunk. So they got drunk, and that little bit of the film was brilliant, but that's in the second half. So, yeah, it's the Hacienda scene through very halcyon eyes, you know, it's good. But some of it was terrible. You know, I remember I was there when there were gunshots were fired.
Right.
You know, Liverpool people come in and started, you know, shooting about. And the irony is, and the funny thing is with Wilson, is that he went, oh, sod this, and put a picture frame around the gunshot, around the bullet wound in the club. You know, and then you had brilliant nights. You know, like the acid house days were fantastic, and Flesh, the gay nights was great, and swimming pools in a nightclub. Who did that? Why would you do
No
that?
wonder they didn't make any money.
Well, famously on Blue Monday, they lost 50 pence per release. So yeah, to answer your point directly, it was very good, but also it was not so good at some point. But yeah.
Oh, cool.
Good stuff.
So out of all that, and how we know yourself is through tour management.
Yes.
So my main question is, what is your main job, or what does a tour manager do? So
right.
If you had to explain your day to day to us.
Yeah. So if I look after, let's say I'll go with the easy one, which is Mark Radcliffe, who's Mark splits himself between a solo show and a band. So you kind of you see it all from, you know, managing 10 people and to managing just Mark. So for me, you are like a glorified parent. So
right.
If let's take Mark as a solo, when you interviewed him, we was on a solo tour.
Yeah.
So we did 5 dates on that tour. So basically, you know, I speak to the venue to see how ticket sales are doing outside of what the promoter does, you know, just to see if it needs a push. I'll speak to the promoter to see if he needs a push, to see if we can retweet off Mark's account, or if we can engage you know, other people, to, like for instance the local newspaper, to let them sort of push the gig. You know, if Mark can get away with it, to mention it on the radio, just dropping the name of the town, doesn't necessarily have to say I'm playing here. And then, you know, so with that, you kind of do the PR side of it. You then make sure he's got his suitcase ready, his guitar's ready. You know, does he want a rider when he gets it? How many bottles of water does he want? Or you know, things like that. You're basically mothering that particular person in a really nice way, because, you know, Mark is a very good friend of mine, and I treat him like part of the family, and so Mark's very easy to manage. When you get to like a full band, where there's Mark times 10. I need some water. Oh, bloody hell, I've got to go down to the shop and get some. Right, okay, so you run in there and you're doing the merchandising as well, and you're doing the ticket count, and, you know, you're checking on stage to see if anybody wants a pint, or, you know, is everything okay? Is there a guitar string broke there? Or do we need to tell the sound engineer, just knock the sound down a bit, or turn it up at the back, we can't hear it? So it's a really important role, because you are the conduit between audience and band, and without that you're not going to get any feedback, because the engineer's stuck at the back of the room, and all you're hearing from the engineer is like, you know, up and down and whatnot, but it means nothing. But if I'm sat there side stage, I'm going, Christy Lee, do us a favour, mate, just knock it down a little bit, or turn it up, or Fluff, do you need a glass of water, or, you know, Rusty, do you want a cider, or Mark, do you want some absinthe, you know? You know, so it's it is basically that, and then packing the goods away, and then the money count, and then, you know, making sure you're the last person on the bus because you've checked the room, you swept the room, and you also, you like if you do a festival and you're staying over, you're the first one up, last one to bed. So you make sure you get everybody up, and then last thing at night, have we got a head count? Like, we're all here, bedtime, you know. So it is a glorified, you know, a parent, but it's good. I just wish it paid.
So I wonder how that works. Like, if you had a band, let's say mid-noughties, Libertines-esque band.
Oh my God.
Where they're doing
my God.
Would you have more than one tour manager at that
Well,
point?
generally what you do, if you got like let's take the Libertines. So if you had a tour manager, they would be the fifth member of the band, or fourth member of the band, or however many's in the band.
Yeah.
So that way, they would, if they wanted anything, they would look to you. So then that's your role in the band, is to go away and make it happen. Let them concentrate on the music, and you concentrate on everything else. If you get like, you know, your drugs and your drink and, you know, your roadies and your groupies or whatever involved, and then that basically, you're putting out fires. You know, I've heard some brilliant stories and I've heard some horror stories where it really has gone all wrong. Where you've had, you know, it's a very famous thing, and I'm not speaking out of turn when you can speak about Depeche Mode, where I think David Garns died 3 times, you know, because he's absolutely smashed it. And the tour manager's gone, well, he's a grown-up man, he can do what he wants. So you've got to let him, you know, give him enough rope, sort of thing, unfortunately. But then again, you've heard the better side of it, where happy as Larry. You know, it's just like brilliant. I wish all the bands were like this. But you are part of that. Coldplay, I think their tour manager is part of the band. You know, they get the same split as everybody else, even though he doesn't play anything. He's just that important. But yeah.
That's actually... Go on, James.
Well, no, I was just thinking, because on the one hand, when you're saying that, all right, well, I need some water. So a lot of people listening will be thinking, well, I can get my own water. What's the... But then I'd imagine if you're preparing for a show, you're doing whatever, trying to get in your creative space because you're the artist, then I can also imagine that there is lots of little things that I could just do without. If it was just there, it makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Because generally, we played the Manchester Folk Festival, and it was a terrible day. The rain was battering, everybody was a bit down and whatnot. And then we went for a pint before, and I was trying to G him up, and you know, saying, listen, guys, it's a sold out show. It's going to be really good. So if you want anything, just let me know. Just play the music. If you want anything, nod, wink, point, whatever. I'll have it there with me by the side. So then, just before they went on stage, there was no water, and I could see that people getting agitated, the band getting agitated, going, "Oh, listen, he said he's going to sort it out." So as they went on, I ran upstairs, ran into the band, I went, "Give us as much water as I can carry," and I paid for it out of my own money, and then I went downstairs and went, "Right, there you go, there's the water," and it was like a collective sigh of relief because. Brilliant, it's done. Yeah, he's done it. Brilliant. And the cracked on it, and it was a good gig. But then there's sometimes where the venue doesn't work with you. You know, so, well, we haven't got any water. Well, I asked for it. And I've not got time for this, so can you just sort of, please provide, forget it, I'll buy it. You know, and you do that because you don't want to annoy the artist because it will reflect in the performance, you know.
Yeah, how much of it is almost that psychological management? So yes, there's the physical, I'm bringing them some water, but the bit of G'ing them up, or the bit of...
There's a very, very famous thing in Manchester where Doves were playing in Manchester, and Liam Gallagher runs in, and it's like a whirlwind. He runs in, he sits down, he has a line or whatever, he has a beer and whatnot, and he just sort of makes them... He just diffuses the situation, because we're a bit tense. I think it's one of the last gigs. And he runs in, does whatever, and runs out again, and it's like, what the hell was that? But it really got the band really up for it. You know, there's only 3 of them, but it just lifted the band. And going back to that, my brother Bobby, he was when New Order played in Manchester when they played in Manchester a few years ago. They were all very nervous because I think they were playing the Apollo, and Robert's very much like myself, but slightly madder. And he runs in and he sits there, and one of them just says, "Just make us laugh." So he sat there and he told them a terrible joke and whatnot, and they're like, "Oh shit!" But then again, it's sort of lighten the mood so they can go on in a good mood, a good frame of mind, which then translates to the audience. But yes, so there is that sort of, you know, geeing them up and sort of, you know, are you okay? Brilliant. Well, if you're okay, I'm more than okay.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of thing. And I think that's, you know, the Arctic Monkeys. They have one of their mates doing it, and I think that's great. You know. But I think some, especially unsigned bands as well, you know, engage your mates. Why not? You know, they're there for the ride. And if you don't work, it doesn't work. But you've had a good laugh doing it. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
The amount of bands we've seen, and they'll go on stage, and you can just tell in their faces they've had a shocker of a day.
Yeah.
They don't really want to be there, and therefore the performance is awful. And all it might have taken was someone like yourself to have done that, G'ing them up before or having the water ready, or whatever the
anything.
thing is.
Or I want some mince or whatever. What do you want minced beef for? But with the Stone Roses as well, one of my friends, John the Dog, he is Ian Brown's personal manager. So what I said to him, what do you actually do? He said, well, I travel the world with him. And I said, no, but what do you do? He says, well, if she wants flowers in his dressing room, I get him. If she wants water, I get him. You know, if she wants a kebab at 5 a.m, I'll source it, I'll do it. And I said, well, you like a glorified gopher? He goes, that's exactly what you do, Paul. And I went, well, actually, you're right, but you do it on a bigger scale, you know, all over the world. You know, and he's happy on, you know, whatever he gets a day for doing it. But it's that kind of thing. I just make sure he's okay, which is great, you know.
So actually, that's one of the questions I've written down. Was it John, did you say?
John,
yeah. He is Ian Brown's personal manager.
Yeah.
All the time. Is that the case for many artists? They'll have someone they've had for years, like Coldplay, you said, how?
Yeah, does
it have ad hocly? Like
well, it depends, because, I mean, personally, from my experience, judging with all the bands that I work with, they always have a mate doing it. You know, like you'll always have Liam with his mate, and or Noel will always have his mate. You know, he'll have I forget the guy's name who works at Neil. He's called works at SGM Concerts, and Neil just basically is Noel's sort of private tour manager. So forget the rest of the band. It's all about Noel. It's Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, and Neil is his tour manager. So you kind of get that. You do kind of get people who have had a long relationship with him because they can talk frankly, you know. You know, I've known Mark for years, and Mark can just tell me to bugger off or what. But we've never even thought of falling out. I mean, it's not even that question. It's just like, that was a bit rubbish tonight, weren't it? Berry Met or whatever. That was a bit terrible. I said, the crowd really got on. And I said, well, you didn't help yourself by calling them tossers. You know, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, so you do get that. But they are long established relationships. Little John's been with doing that with the Hacienda. You know, he used to work for the Hacienda, and I do that with our kid, with my younger brother, when he was doing Cream or Ministry of Sound and driving him about, and just basically, are you all right? I'll go and get the money. You don't worry about it. Just play your records and you know, get money for old rope, and I'll get the money, and you just make sure you pay me, and I'll make sure you get it, and come home and, you know, say hello to my mum on the way back, sort of thing. Yeah. So that's that long-term relationship.
Yes. So I suppose if they're getting paid, you're getting paid.
Yeah, generally. You know what, with Mark, I'll tell you, I'll be absolutely frank with Mark. Mark just says, listen, it's a fixed fee. Whether I get 500 quid, 50 quid, 10 bob or 10 grand, you just get a fixed fee. And it's not, for me, it's not about the money. For me, it's just about, I'm having a laugh doing it. It's a good laugh. You know, get out of the office, or, you know, I'm away from the wife, or, you know, there you go. I don't have to go shopping in Lidl or Aldi or wherever it's in Oxford, Waitrose. So yeah.
So would you only ever consider being a tour manager for a individual or a group that you've become friends with, or
Not
that you
really,
have
no.
a personal relationship with? Or?
You know what? If I like the band and there's an opportunity, I'll do it. If I like the band, if I'm not really into the band, if I think the bass player's a bit of a goon, you're thinking, I don't think I get on with him. In fact, you know what? Do one, I don't want to know. But if you genuinely like the band, like for instance with photography, I'll only ever take pictures of bands who I like.
Right.
I'm not a snapper for hire. You know, if someone says, "Can you do my band?" And I'll pay you 150 quid to do a photo shoot. I don't need the money, not because I mean I do need the money, but I don't really want to haul myself around taking pictures of stuff that I don't really like, and I don't see the point. I'd rather sort of take a picture or TM a band who I actually like, and I know. You know,
and is that like as in I like their music, or is that like as in I like them as human beings?
Well, you know, so that's a very good point, because sometimes you might like the music, but the band are tossers, and you think, hey, no, I don't really like you. I love your music, but no, you're a bit of a fool. You know, there's a couple of bands in Manchester who I really, really like, and I've gone, no, I'm not really into you, man. Your music's great, but just don't get you. You know,
you've got to spend time with them at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're in the same hotel room. You know, you could be sharing a bed next to Giggity. You know, so you know, you do, or you're on a bus with them, or you're in sleeping bags next to it in a tent and whatnot in a festival. So generally, it's like you kind of have to know them a little bit. But if someone says, you know, listen, there's a week's gig and it's like $2.5 grand, brilliant. You know, but if it's like week's gig, you're doing a bit of a UK tour and sort of the band are all right, they're a bit young, a bit moody and all that, then and it's a grant now. I can't be asked. I'm too old for it. You know, let the kids do it, let the mate do it, so they can have an argument with the mate and give him 500 quid. Save yourself 500 quid and give it to your mate. You know, so it's kind of do it that way.
That's cool, because I was going to. So does it often happen when, let's say, there's a tour well-known band, pick anyone you want, and the wheels are falling off. And the tour manager says he's having a nightmare. Can you or another tour manager be like drafted in?
Yeah.
Let's just sort this out because it's just completely.
No, there is. You can. I know a lot of other tour managers, and they get helicoptered in if things are really, really going wrong. Generally, 9 times out of 10, it's kind of, if the band are getting that bad, it's kind of time to walk away. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you're done with it. You don't really want the hassle. Unless you are one of the really close mates and you go, well, he's always like that, he's a bit of an idiot, gets drunk and whatnot, picks a fight with completely the wrong person and gets battered. Or, you can say, listen, man, I've had enough. I've had enough. I want to walk away. I don't need it anymore. I don't need the hassle. And then they're left without somebody guiding them and basically mothering them, making sure they get up, get on the bus and crack onto another gig and tickets and merchandise and this, that and the other. So yeah, you can, but it does happen, it does happen. And I know people who've done it, but it's not for the want of like wanting to do it, so it can be done.
Cool.
So from being a tour manager, so when the tour finishes, how much interaction do you have with the band act?
Depends who it is. I've got a friend who was tour manager for the Spiral Carpets, and in fact, no, I'll tell you another one. When the Spiral Carpets were doing on tour, and Noel Gallagher was the roadie for the Spiral, guitar roadie, and they stopped touring for a little bit, and so Noel was unemployed. Lived in town, but he got a job working with Erasure on a 15-night tour in Manchester. So you can, if something comes up and someone says, listen, there's another opportunity, do you fancy doing it? And you think, well, is the money okay? Is it not okay? Or what do you think? And then you do. You can do, but you can crack on and get another. You pick up, but generally, it's who you know.
Right.
You wouldn't normally sort of say, right, I'm on the agency, I'm a tour manager. Hey, that's a good idea because that doesn't exist.
Right.
There is no. In fact, note to self, scrub that. Note to self. That's my TMP line.
That's going to say a trademark.
Yeah, done. There is no agency that actually says, well, I am a tour manager. And then I can do this, so please let me do that, because generally you do know the band.
Yeah. Two of the main questions I've got actually were kind of answered of like why have one and when should you get one, but I suppose there's not real any answer, is there? If you're
not really, I think
if you've got your mates doing it, for example.
If your mates are doing it, the thing is with tour managers and management, they're much the same things. One goes on holiday with you, or I call it as a holiday. Yeah. One sits in the car or sits on the bus and whatnot, and you go from gig to gig. So the difference for me, I when I get a number of bands saying, "Oh, can you come and manage us? Can you do this?" And it's like, you know what? What do you really want a manager for? Do you want me to go and get you gigs? Because generally, 9 times out of 10. They don't have the contacts to get gigs, or they do, but they kind of, I don't really want to do it when it comes to the music. But sometimes, or about the 9 times out of 10, that's what they want you to do, is get gigs. They don't think about merchandising, which is a massive revenue stream. They don't think about, a distribution. You don't need a record deal anymore. You can just stick it on YouTube, get your own channel, stick it on SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and make sure you're on them platforms, and that's your record deal. Build your Twitter followers up, build your Facebook up, and get your photos done, and look professional, sound professional, and before you know it, what do you really need a record deal for? And when you get a record deal, you'll get a manager anyway. He'll just guide you. He'll do that. He'll get you gigs. You'll get an agency, Coda or whatever, and they'll get you gigs, or a promoter. But generally, with tour managing, you kind of have your mates doing it.
So do people come to you and say, we want to go on tour, we have no gigs, please can you arrange?
Well, they do. Well, again, it was only on last week when I was on holiday. I was skiing in France, and I bumped into somebody who I've not seen for years, and he said, "Oh, I'm in a band now." And, "Oh, great." He said, "You're in the game," and I went, "Well, kind of." And he goes, "Well, can you sort us out some gigs? Will you manage us?" And I went, "No." I went, I can't. I don't know what you sound like. Oh, we're a bit.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Well, I think you're shit.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Because I've not heard of you. You can tell me you're the next Arctic Monkeys or whoever, but until I hear you, no, you know what? Get one of your mates to do it. Or you do it yourself. Mm-hmm. It's easy to go online, UK festivals, there's a list of festivals, venues under 200 capacity, which you book yourself. Bingo, there's your list. So it's easy to do. It's just sometimes the most obvious things are not, a kind of missed. The wood for the trees analogy. So you do get approached, and then you just have to, like what Mark says. I can, when he gets a demo, I'll promise I'll listen to it, but I can't promise I'll like it.
Yeah.
And I promise I'll hear you, but I can't promise I'll do anything for you.
But what are those common things that bands overlook? If you were to give a few examples, you said merchandising there as one thing. But what are the other things that you think? Well, every band can do this, but they typically don't. What are those things?
Well, you've got things like I look at a band. If, like, for instance, Fine Lines Tonight, who are great, they're very inoffensive 4 to 5 piece, and Mark plays drums and Dave does the vocals and guitars and whatnot, and I help them out I don't get them gigs, but I put them in touch with people who can get them gigs. So when I look at Fine Lines, I say to them, treat it as a business. If this was a business, how would you get your business to market? First of all, product. What do you look like? What do you sound like? How did they get hold of you? And what are you all about? Electronic press kits. This physical press kit from Merry Health, great band by the way. And so they're doing it all. They're doing it all themselves. But mainly, you do. Getting people to your gigs. How do you do that? Facebook, social media just blasted everything out of the water. Or go old school, flyer. Get your mates in the pub, bums on seats. If I know 20 people, you know 20 people, you know 20 people.
That's how we did it, didn't we?
Well, if 10 people just do it, 10 of us, there's 30 people, and then you flyer it. You pay for £3 for Facebook ads or whatever, so you can draw
things
people
like that
in.
work well.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, big time. And then don't oversell yourself. Don't sort of go to a massive venue. Think small. Like when Oasis first started, they played the Boardwalk, 150 people, and there were like 30 people turning up. Why go and play the academies? Why go and play, the Sage when there's like 30 people? Play something that holds 50 and have 30 people in, so it looks dead hot and sweaty, and just cane it, and then get some crap t-shirts knocked up, knock them out for the £5. It costs you £3, £2 in the bin. It's paid for your CDs or pay for your recording, or get your mates who's got GarageBand and do a remix of one of your tracks and SoundCloud it, or email it about and just create your own buzz. But sometimes bands don't think that. All they want to do is just play music and expect it to happen. And unfortunately, getting on festivals is so hard because everyone wants to get bums on seats, so they're not going to look at an unsigned band. They look at bands who have got a following and bands who can put bums on seats, so the festival organisers aren't losing money. So do you approach a charity festival? Do you say, listen, we're going to play for free? Instead, and if we make any money, we'll just give you 50% of the merch cost. And they go, oh, that's interesting, I didn't think of that. So therefore, you look more favourably to get on it, And there's lots of them about, But yeah.
So a little bit of work, really, isn't it? Yeah.
You've got to work at it. It doesn't fall on a plate.
That's what most people have said that we've spoke to. If you're willing to do it, which we did when we were in the band, like it wasn't until recently I realised we had our own mini little recording company. We just didn't give it a name. We produced it all ourselves. We've got a mate to mix it. We paid for his kit. We've got printing done. Let's just say we've got printing done. And we had little bits and pieces here and there. We just didn't call it a Smart Blue Productions or whatever.
If you look at Fine Lines, this isn't a Fine Lines series, but they've got Parade Recordings, and Dave puts everything out on Parade Recordings. So when someone says, have you got a record deal? Well, actually I have. It's my own record. You don't tell them it's my own record. It's, I'm on Parade, assigned to me, not heard of them. Why haven't you? We've got a website, we've got everything. So there's a little bit of kidology to get you gigs and to get you on festivals and to sort of move you up that ladder just a little step. But, it's hard work. Pulp took 9 years. Epic Money's took 8.5 years, and Elbow took forever. Then one day like this came out and bang, they're on everything. Guys on millions of pounds a year. So it's not going to happen overnight, with the exception of some bands, like Arctic Monkeys and stuff like that.
Yeah. But if you read any biography, the most exciting years are all those years leading up to the hit.
Well, exactly. I remember going down to London years ago. We were sat in front of a guy called Marcus Russell, who's Ignition Management, who look after Noel Oasis. And Marcus is, is a Welsh bloke, and he's a top lad. And I remember sat in with the Screamadelica Primal Scream, looking at that, going, oh man, I've got that on the record cover. And we were sat there, and just before Morning Glory came out, me and Steph and our kid and whatnot, we were down in London, just Mancunians going down to see what it's all about, and just sort of stood in awe of this thing, right? And like, Mr. Noel Gallagher sat there, like, and he's going, it's great, that, isn't it? So I wish we had one of them. I said, you've just had Definitely Maybe out. Are you on the brink of great shit, great showmanship and this, that, you're going to be brilliant. Do you reckon? We're never going to have a neon sign. Well, actually, go and speak to Lee, who used to make neon signs in Failsworth. There you go, can have one done for bugger all. But I remember looking at that in the Oasis offices and going, that'd be brilliant, that, wouldn't it, if you had one. So it's that sort of, that sort of thing.
Excellent, yeah. So there's lots of stuff there we spoke about, but I know you're keen to talk about your photography as well. Is there anything else, James, you can think of? Any questions I may have?
I don't think so from a management perspective. I think it's the interesting bit, I think, for a lot of people listening will very much be that at what point would I want to have one of these things?
Yes.
Well, see, what point would you want to have? I'll ask you a question, because you've been in a band. What point, when would you have liked to have a manager?
And that's the thing, I think, for us, we tended to do, when we had tours, we did them ourselves, and there'd be no more than like 2 weeks. And I don't know how much value we would have got out of, because we were quite self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So
I think once you start getting like bigger venues, more people turning up.
It's the contacts bit, I think, that we didn't have, and that's the bit. So I guess to your point of, well, what do you want out of a tour manager? For us, it would have been we're not just going to go and play that venue. We're going to go with someone who knows people within that area, who can then set up something in the town next to it that we didn't have something of. I think that would have been the value for us.
I'm a big fan of like gig swaps, like looking at a band who on the same level, if I was in a band, looking at a band on the same level and going, so they're playing similar type of venue, so let's gig swap. You're in Newcastle, I'm in Manchester, I'll get you a gig at Gulliver's or wherever in town, and then you get me a gig at the Cluny too. And we'll gig swap, If you want, we'll sort you out, we'll stay at yours, you stay at ours, or we'll share a PA, so you're just coming in cars or whatever. Don't worry about a sound tech, use our sound guy, and then don't worry about anything money wise, we'll make sure you covered your petrol. So but you tweet us and we'll tweet you, and between us we'll tap into our contact. We'll send a tape to BBC Introducing or whatever, and we'll try and get it on the website, and we'll do whatever to make that gig sell. But if you're attacking it from both sides, you've got two bands who really want the same thing, then fine. I think that's how it should be done. But again, bands are not doing that. And I bang on all the time about gig swap. If you want to play London, find a band similar to you in London and just swap. Do you want to come on to Manchester, man? It's kicking. Right, ace. And then, but we'll come down to you. And it might be a heck hole in Dalston or whatever, but it's there, So you can say on your resume, your CV, that we've played London. Oh, brilliant! Who did you play to? One man in his dog, but still played London. But there is that. So getting a manager really is about contacts. Like I go back to what I said previously. Bands want you to get them gigs or to get us through the door. But I think when you need a tour manager, if you're doing support bands, if you're buying a support tour, you might pay $10,000 to go and support, I don't know, Howard Jones or Terry Fogby and whatnot, but you just get on there and you support that band. So the main band expect to have somebody who is like the leader, but not in the band sort of thing. So can manage the money, can manage the merch, what time are they going on, what time are they coming off, get your gear off straight away. Have you got any roadies? Do you want a hand, or where are you storing your gear? Do you need your gear staying overnight? Because tonight, that's what the gear's being stopped at, staying overnight, and it's going to stop in here overnight. So tomorrow morning, I'll be here first thing and get the gear out, So that's part of a function that does. So that's the kind of thing, really.
Yeah, and I guess another bit is, for a lot of bands, I think it would be, is someone who knows all that stuff. Because to you, it's just obvious, well, there's a load of things that just have to happen. But to a lot of people, are like, oh, right, I hadn't thought about that.
Well, and that's the thing, because if you get a lead singer doing that, he wants to look good, sound good, and play well. And all the band are in that vein, you know what I mean? So the last thing they want to do is go and sort out bottles of water.
Yeah, I've forgotten the lyrics for the next song because I was thinking about, bloody hell, what time do I have to go and pick me gear up in the morning?
God, I need to go for a pony, I need to do this, I'm in a bloody hellfire. What's the lyric now? I forgot, shit.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
Cool.
Well,
So in a nutshell, James,
I needed to lie down, I think, after meeting Paul. Great guy.
Well, this is only part 1, remember? So you've got to buckle up for part 2 as well.
Oh, no, can I have a nap in between?
Yes, there's a weekend between, James.
Right, excellent.
Yes, I've lost my train of thought now after that lie down situation.
Well, sometimes your mind wanders when you go to sleep.
That was it. The question was, how would you describe a tour manager in one short sentence, if someone didn't know?
Ooh, there's a challenge. I think the first thing that comes to mind is being the parent of the band.
Yes. Yeah. I think he put it nicely where you're the first one there and you're the last one out.
Yeah.
Haven't forgotten anything, you haven't left anything in the van, or...
Yeah, you got all your toys.
well, you say that, but remember when we were playing Glasgow, and I'm like, where's my effects box?
Yeah.
In Whistlebinkies in Edinburgh. So Rob and I had to dash across from Glasgow to Edinburgh.
You did, yeah.
To get it. And I thought to myself, I probably could have thumbed my way through a set of like 8 songs on just a distortion there on the amp, rather than going 45 miles through traffic to Edinburgh to pick up my box.
You made it though.
We did, just. And I'm not too sure we were meant to be on that night, because they were unaware that we were turning up.
Yeah, but we played.
Anyway, that's getting off topic.
It is.
It's true though. If Paul was with us, we wouldn't have forgotten the Xbox. He would have checked everything, make sure the money's sorted out, make sure the band are happy.
Well, it's just making sure things don't go wrong, because you've given a really good example of a simple thing. Oh, I've forgotten my effects box, or I've left it somewhere, or whatever, and like that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But these things can happen, and the tour
Easily.
manager just puts fires out, or makes sure that the fire doesn't even...
Yeah. Make sure that people are hydrated, make sure they've got a beer, make sure they're happy.
Well, the psychological bit of it, I guess, so the making sure that the band has drinks, or the band have got to where they need to get to, is sort of the obvious stuff. Mm-hmm. I guess that if you'd asked me to write down 10 things of what a tour manager does, there was a chunk that I thought, well, yeah, that's obvious, that's what they do, they do. But the psychological bit is probably something, it's definitely something that I hadn't really given much thought to. The fact that if you're on tour and you're playing loads of dates, day after day after day, there's going to come a point where you'll be drained. I mean, not every band does a 200-day tour, but even if you're just on a shorter one, there's going to be at least one date in there which you just, you feel a bit down, or you've
had to play it, don't look back in anger again,
or you've had some bad news that day, or or whatever the scenario might be. Having someone as energetic as Paul in the room to just get you up. And say, right, you're going to do a show, you need to be on it, you need to be full of energy, come on, there's people come to see you,
money on this,
go on,
it's like a manager in a sport arena as well.
Well, but
gearing them up.
That's it. I'd never thought of a tour manager. Maybe he's in exactly how you've described it, like a sporting manager. Yeah,
and I probably would have
half-time pep talk.
Yeah, exactly. I would have probably thought of something that Paul said that a tour manager doesn't really do is, he doesn't, or she, get you the gigs. They're not going to sit down and go, right, I know the person who works in this place in Glasgow, I know the person who works in this place in Manchester, ring them up and basically book your tour. Yeah. There might be some element of that, but it's unlikely they'll do that. Because there's other people that do that. They're with you. They're like the 5th, 6th, 7th, however many people in your band, member of your band.
Well, and you were saying that, you gave the Coldplay example, I think you said that... their tour manager will get almost the same cut as the band members. They're that critical of the operation.
Well, we'll be at that level.
Well, because I guess at that scale, I mean, I imagine that tour manager has an army of other people doing stuff when it gets to that point. But that still just shows the importance of a band as big as Coldplay place onto a tour manager.
Yeah, if Chris Martin doesn't turn up and give it 6 out, and people have spent 70, 80, 90 quid a ticket, and there's 80,000 of them in that stadium, it'll soon get out that Coldplay were rubbish that night.
Well, everything just needs to run like clockwork, doesn't it?
Definitely. And he spoke about leaving, he'll be back the next day at the Cluny because they were staying over that night to make sure everything was sorted. I haven't forgotten anything because you could have a guitarist who has a special guitar, like that comfort blanket, or it might be worth 20 grand. And if they've left it in Manchester and now you're currently on a plane to New York, there's an issue there. Yeah. So not only does he put out fires or stop them from happening, he does it quickly as well. And I think one of the main things he said was getting a mate to do it is a really good point. I think Monkeys did that for a while as well, I believe. Yeah. Because they get you, they get the sound, they're invested in you.
I'd never really...
And they can tell you what for as well if they need to.
Yeah, I think... Well, like you said, there was various people who would come away with us when we were playing gigs and stuff, but I guess and I don't know whether, certainly in the early days, whether or not Arctic Monkeys would have or wouldn't have actually formalised that and said, right, you now are our tour manager, or whether it was just someone who came away with them because they were mates and therefore just happened to be around and like, oh, I'll go and do that if you want. I'm just sitting around doing nothing, and just almost by default ended up being it, even though...
I suppose it's the sort of thing you would learn by doing as well, when you can't really go into a college course on tour management because it's a...
Good idea, good suggestion,
yeah,
really.
Well, Paul said it's a laugh and nothing else.
Chances are a few of your mates will be coming around on tour or on doing the gigs with you anyway, so why not?
Yeah. And if I just think about what Paul did when we met him, he got the band there, got them loaded in, the dressing room was all sorted, he made sure everything was alright with the merch, he was taking pictures of them, made sure they were alright on stage, got them off stage, made sure they spoke to the fans when they were selling merch.
He does the lot, like, didn't he? Yes. He was up on the balcony, he was down at the merch table, he was backstage, he was everywhere. I'm sure he's got... I think he's like an ever-ready bunny.
He is, yeah. And all with perfect enthusiasm. I think he's well suited for that job.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. If there was a blueprint of a tour manager.
That's what I would, what I would think it is, yeah. So, and you've got to, but he did say as well, you've got to have a love for it as well.
Yeah.
As in, he won't go and tour manager any old band.
Yeah. There's got to come a point if it's a group of people who are just arses or you just don't get along with, then you're not going to be putting your heart and soul into it. You're not, because you were saying in many ways it's a gopher sort of thing. You'll go and get whatever they need, and
which could be anything.
And if that person in the band's just horrid, then you're going to be like, well, no, don't want him.
Yeah.
And it comes a point where it's just not worth it.
Exactly. As he was saying at his point in his career, I mean, if you're in your mid-20s and you get offered to do a tour with a certain band who you know are going to be a nightmare, but it pays well for like a week's work, you probably take it.
Yeah.
For nothing more than having conversations with your mates about this person is such and such and such and such.
But I thought, the fact that sort of again lends itself to the fact of, well, get your mates to
totally.
do it. But then again, if your group of mates are the type who are completely disorganised, then it's picking the right mate, I guess. you need someone who's pretty on it. And it sort of ties back...
And committed as well, I guess.
Yeah. They've got to almost be willing to do it.
To take the leap like you've taken with your music.
Yeah. And part of it, I think, comes back to the Ross interviews where he said within the Future Heads they had just almost brutal honesty.
Yes.
It sounds like, and it makes sense, part of the role of the tour manager is to be that brutal, honest. If they come off and they're going to go back on for an encore, someone who goes, you were awful there, right? Your faces look miserable, you need to really sort yourself out. You need to go back on there.
So they remember the next 3 songs. Yeah.
Yeah, and really do it. Someone who's not just going to go, oh, you were brilliant, you were amazing, when you blatantly weren't.
I bet they exist in the business though as well.
Oh,
definitely.
No doubt, but you want someone who's going to be honest and in the right way. But
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were quite lucky in that as well. We had a few fans, who had no problem in saying that was rubbish.
Yeah.
Sort yourself out for next week. Or next time you gig. And we would do it ourselves in the band as well.
Yeah, but you need to hear it, and I get part of it. I think looking back, there'd be times where I'd hear that and I'd be like, oh yeah, but this has happened today and that's happened today. I'm like, well, quite frankly, the audience don't care.
Yeah.
And
some of the yes, I mean, our
and at
gigs
the
weren't
time,
the most
like,
expensive, but like there was sometimes it was like,
yeah, and it's like, well, no, that's your problem. That's
Yeah.
not their problem. They've come to see you be awesome. So
and this
sort
is the
it out.
reason you actually do this, because you get half an
Yeah.
hour off or an hour off a night to
Yeah,
blast out some songs.
exactly.
But yeah, I think having that kind of honesty is really important, and it's like when do you get one or get it
Yeah.
formalised? Yeah.
Well, when do you make it form? Because
Yeah.
it might be that one of your mates just happens to be awesome at it and wants to continue doing it. You might be like, right, well, actually, we've given it to a mate and they were even more disorganised than us. We've left where guitar effects boxes in the other city. We've only sold one T-shirt.
Yeah.
And just in general, it just doesn't work. Whereas at that point, or you could have a mate who's pretty good at it, but you get to a point where they just can't cope. There's too much to do, and then you might need someone doing it.
I think if it gets to that point where you're running out of time at gigs. So if you're on the way up, you're getting a bit of a crowd, you want to chat with your audience afterwards, maybe sell some T-shirts, sell some merch.
Yeah.
If you're humping all the stuff out,
That's a great point. Yeah, if you're having to pack up,
which you still will have to do, but
Yeah.
if you could let the singer go, because that's the main person I want to talk to, really.
yeah, or potentially, yeah,
And then the others can join once they're all sorted out, but they're not like scrapping around. Where's me effects box? Where's me mic? Where's me beer? Where's me whatever? At that point, if you're just getting started, you probably won't need one. You just want to get in, do your songs, maybe a bit of chat when you get a chance, because there's probably more
But
opportunity.
no, I think that's a good point. You know,
But when
the
it's
whole
just when you start
interaction-
running out of time to do stuff,
yeah.
and you're right.
Interaction with fans is important. Yeah, so
If you're selling one T-shirt, because by the time you've finished humping everything to the car or the van,
people have
and
filled
have
that
gone,
out.
yeah. But if
Yeah.
you say, right, singer up front there, you're the good-looking one, you're the one they're looking at.
Yeah, then
If you sell 10 T-shirts, that could be £100. That could pay for the hotel and the petrol.
yeah, for the next one.
Yeah, and that could be like 10 people wearing your T-shirt. Oh, who were they? Blah blah. You know that, and then that's how it works. Yeah,
definitely.
So I think that's where the likes of Paul will be. He's got the great balance of he'll tell you to your face if you weren't very good, but if he's talking to someone out there, best band in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah, look, he'll protect you from all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
as well. And the energy and the and then I know I joked at the start about you being very connected, but he is connected. He knows when things will go right and things will go wrong. His brother works in merch, and we're going to hopefully get him on soon.
And there's an experience angle there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's one hand, right, getting your mate and they'll make it up as they go along like you are, and that might work brilliantly.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's getting a more experienced tour manager who will just know how things work.
Yeah.
They'll know all the little things that can potentially go wrong. They'll have seen them like way in advance and they'll have sorted it out and make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and he said before we were walking into the backstage area, he went, "Cheers for the sound tonight, mate. It was excellent." That he said, "I always make a point of doing that because the next time we come through here, you'll remember my face, you'll remember the band, and the sound will be just as good." So he's just making that little tip to the sound bloke, tip to the bloke on the bar.
And you will, if you've been in the game as long as he is, you will just know people. You know?
Yeah.
It's just a thing. No matter what industry you work in, eventually, if you've been doing it for years and years, you do just know people. And if you're as easy to get on with and as likeable and as high energy as Paul is, then people will remember you and they will be happy to sort of get in touch or speak to you or whatever. So
yeah, and I suppose if he's touring, well, let's just say he's touring with Mark again or Paul Radcliffe. He might turn up again. Don't know why. Let's say he's touring with them, and then we met him in the September time at the Sage. He was back there in the December with Roy Wood. So the same people will be round the Sage at the same time. So you'll meet them. You'll be like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "I can get for you, Paul," because they know he was nice last time and he was a good laugh. So he doesn't have to go shopping around for bottles of water. They'll go, I put 6 bottles in your room for you. No worries. Put 6 beers in for you, some fresh towels, whatever else they need.
whatever.
I mean, as he said in the interview, he's got no problem rushing up to the bar, buying bottles and taking them back down.
If it needs to be
If
done.
it needs to be done, needs to be done. But
that should be the exception rather than the rule.
Yes, exactly. So if he, I don't know, gives the Sage an email, gives him a bell before he turns up saying, any chance I can get a couple of bottles of water and a couple of beers in the changing room. That's just a rider. I know it's a rider, but they know him. They know he's not going to kick off, and if he has to kick off, he'll do it in a nice way.
If you get all the little things right, though.
Exactly. And then
it makes for a much smoother
goes on, and then Roy Wood goes on stage, does a mint show, and then those people are likely to come back next year and bring a friend.
Now I can go for a nap.
Yes.
Before next week. Coming up next week, we stay with Paul for a change of direction. Here we move on to his other passion, photography, where we cover the importance of a good photo, why to use a professional, and what musicians should consider.
We've reached the end of this week's episode of Anyone Can Play Guitar podcast.
Big thank you for tuning in, and remember to stop by iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
While you're there, it would be amazing if you could leave a rating and a review.
All the show notes can be found at www.acpgmusic.com, and if you want to get in touch,
email us your questions, any feedback and any suggestions to info@acpgmusic.com.
That's it for now. Keep supporting upcoming artists,
and we'll catch you next time.